The cold steel of a dozen blades pierced Wong Wei's chest simultaneously. He looked up at the faces of the people he had spent years protecting from the monsters. Their eyes held no gratitude, only a sickening hunger for his remaining resources. The leader of the survivors stepped forward and spat on the dying prophet's face. Wong Wei realized too late that kindness was a fatal currency in this new world. If I could go back, I would let every single one of you rot in the abyss. As the light faded from his vision, a strange celestial chime echoed in his mind. Suddenly, the crushing weight of death vanished and was replaced by the soft hum of an air conditioner. He frantically checked his chest, finding smooth, unblemished skin where the blades had been. His eyes darted to the digital clock on his nightstand, which displayed a date 7 days before the collapse. A hysterical laugh escaped his throat as he realized fate had granted him a second chance. Before his eyes, a translucent blue interface flickered into existence. The system prompt asked him to select his awakening ability once again. In his past life, he had chosen the Great Prophet ability to warn and save the masses. That path led only to his blood being spilled on the very streets he protected. This time, his gaze fell upon a unique SSS rank ability he had previously ignored. The ability was called Absolute Safe House, a skill focused entirely on personal fortification and survival. He pressed the confirm button without a single moment of hesitation. A surge of golden energy erupted from the screen, flowing directly into his soul. The system confirmed that his current residence had been marked as the core of his sanctuary. He looked around the spacious penthouse, already calculating the modifications needed for the coming storm. I won't be a hero this time. I'll be the one watching you all crawl from behind steel walls. He reached for his phone and checked his bank balance, seeing a substantial but insufficient sum. In 7 days, money would be worth less than toilet paper, so he intended to spend every cent of the bank's money. He began applying for every high-interest loan and credit line available to a man of his standing. Within hours, he had secured millions in liquid assets that he would never have to repay. His phone vibrated with a call from his ex-girlfriend, the woman who had led the mob to his door in the past life. He answered the call, his voice devoid of the warmth he once held for her. She whined about needing money for a new designer bag, completely unaware of the looming apocalypse. Wong Wei promised to send her a special gift in a few days, stifling a dark laugh. After hanging up, he contacted the city's top security contractor to begin immediate renovations. He ordered reinforced tungsten shutters, independent air filtration, and a massive solar battery array. The contractor questioned the extreme nature of the requests, but a triple-rate payment silenced his doubts. Next, he visited a wholesale food distributor to order tons of premium supplies. Wagyu beef, fine wines, and medical-grade nutrients were added to his list without regard for the cost. He watched the workers hurry, knowing they were building a paradise they would never be allowed to enter. As the sun set on his first day back, the sky took on a faint, ominous violet hue that only he could interpret. He returned to his apartment and activated the system interface to check the safe house progress. The fortification level was rising, but it still required more points to withstand the first wave of the disaster. He knew he needed to provoke his former enemies to generate the negative energy the system required for upgrades. He opened a social media app and posted a picture of his luxury stockpiles with a condescending caption. The comments immediately flooded with rage and jealousy from his old friends and colleagues. Every insult thrown his way boosted the safe house's energy reserves significantly. He stared at the countdown timer in the corner of his vision, which showed exactly 6 days remaining. He knew the first disaster would be the invisible wind blades that would shred anyone caught outside. As he lay down to sleep, he heard a faint scratching sound coming from his front door. He realized that his sudden wealth had already attracted the wrong kind of attention before the world even ended. A shadow moved across the gap beneath his bedroom door, confirming an intruder was inside his home. Wong Wei didn't feel fear, only a cold anticipation to test his new world's rules. He wondered if this was a random thief or someone sent by the people he had just provoked. Wong Wei gripped the handle of his heavy tactical knife while staring at the trembling shadow outside his door. He relaxed his stance when he realized it was merely a delivery courier struggling with the first batch of his bulk emergency supplies. The courier dropped several heavy crates of canned goods onto the floor with a dull thud. Wong Wei signed the digital tablet without looking up, knowing the currency he used would be worthless in less than a week. He immediately returned to his laptop to finalize the application for a massive $3 million high-interest loan. His bank account balance ticked upward as multiple predatory lending apps approved his requests simultaneously. Just then, his phone vibrated with a call from Lin Xiao, the woman who had helped the mob execute him in his past life. He answered the phone and listened to her whining about needing money for a new designer handbag. Wong Wei told her he would send her a special gift instead, his voice dripping with hidden venom. He hung up and redirected those funds toward a reinforced steel plating order for his apartment windows. By the second day, a team of specialized contractors arrived to install high-grade air filtration systems. The SSS rank safe house ability hummed in his mind, subtly reinforcing every bolt and screw the workers tightened. He watched from the balcony as the city below bustled with people who had no idea their lives were about to end. He felt no pity for them, only a cold satisfaction that he was no longer their sacrificial lamb. His former best friend, Zhang, sent a message asking for a loan to cover his gambling debts. Wong Wei replied with a laughing emoji and blocked the number without a second thought. Large crates of vacuum-sealed Wagyu beef and vintage wine arrived at his doorstep an hour later. He organized the gourmet food into his newly upgraded industrial-grade walk-in freezer. He spent the third day ordering specialized tactical gear, including thermal goggles and body armor. Every purchase was made using the credit lines of the very banks that would collapse in 4 days. On the fourth day, the sky began to take on a strange, sickly greenish hue that most people ignored. Wong Wei knew this was the atmospheric warning of the coming dimensional rift. Lin Xiao showed up at his door uninvited, wearing a skimpy dress and hoping to charm him out of his money. He didn't even let her cross the threshold, blocking the path with his arm. He showed her his bank balance on his phone, watching her eyes widen with pure greed. Then, he told her she wasn't worth a single cent before slamming the heavy, reinforced door in her face. He laughed as he heard her screaming and kicking the metal door from the other side. He turned his attention to the massive water purification tanks being installed in his secondary bathroom. He had enough resources to survive for 10 years without ever stepping foot outside. The fifth day arrived, and he began testing his remote-controlled security drones. With each passing hour, the safe house ability leveled up, making the walls literally thicker and more resilient. He received a group email from his old company, inviting him to an emergency meeting about the strange weather. He deleted the email and posted a photo of his luxurious steak dinner to his social media feed instead. He captioned it, "The world is ending, but I'm eating like a king while you starve." Comments flooded in, calling him a lunatic and a jerk, but he only felt a surge of adrenaline. On the sixth day, he activated the lead line shutters, plunging the apartment into a controlled, artificial environment. He poured himself a glass of million-dollar whiskey and sat in his custom-made command chair. The countdown on his main monitor reached exactly 24 hours before the first wave. He checked his SSS rank status window, seeing that his safe house was now effectively a fortress that could withstand a nuclear blast. Suddenly, a low-frequency hum began to vibrate through the floor, making the whiskey in his glass ripple. A massive bang echoed against his reinforced front door, far harder than any human could strike. Wong Wei lunged for his security monitors, his heart racing as he realized something was wrong with the timeline. The exterior camera showed a silhouette that wasn't human, its claws tearing through the indestructible hallway walls. He realized the apocalypse wasn't starting tomorrow. The monsters were already inside the building. He wondered if his SSS rank safehouse was truly enough to stop something that shouldn't exist yet. Wong Wei swirled the crimson liquid in his crystal glass as the countdown on his wall hit 0. Outside the reinforced windows, the city air began to shimmer with an unnatural, distorted heat. He watched a stray plastic bag in the distance suddenly get sliced into perfect ribbons by nothing at all. A cruel smile spread across his face as he realized his memories of the first disaster were perfectly accurate. He reached for his tablet and initiated a global live stream that bypassed every firewall he had previously hacked. Millions of phone screens across the country lit up with the image of Wong Wei eating a premium steak. In the streets, people were still arguing about the strange weather and the rising panic in the news. Suddenly, a massive billboard was cleanly decapitated, the heavy steel falling into the screaming crowd below. Wong Wei watched the chaos unfold through his high-definition surveillance drones with total detachment. He spoke into the microphone, his voice echoing in the ears of his former creditors. He asked them if they still wanted their money back now that the world was literally falling apart. One of the bank managers who had threatened him earlier was now cowering under a desk as windows shattered. The invisible wind blades began to intensify, slicing through skyscrapers like they were made of butter. Wong Wei poured himself another glass of vintage wine, ignoring the alerts of thousands of dying people. He zoomed the camera in on a specific luxury apartment where his ex-girlfriend was trapped. He commented on how her expensive jewelry wouldn't protect her from the air itself turning into a weapon. She saw his face on her phone and began to beg for the location of his safe house. He simply laughed and told her that her entrance fee was her life, which she had already spent. Outside, cars were being sliced in half, causing massive explosions that lit up the darkening city. The safe house hummed softly, its SSS rank shields absorbing the invisible impacts without a single scratch. Wong Wei checked his automated hydroponics system, ensuring his supply of fresh fruit was unharmed. A group of survivors reached his outer gate and began pounding on it, screaming for mercy. He activated the external speakers and played a pre-recorded track of him yawning. He told the crowd that they were the same ones who would have sold him out in his previous life. A massive wind blade swept through the entrance area, suddenly silencing the desperate pleas. Wong Wei didn't even flinch, simply turning his attention back to his dinner. He began explaining to his viewers that the wind was only the beginning of the 7-day descent. He mocked the government's official broadcast, which was still telling people to stay indoors and remain calm. He revealed his stockpiles of medicine, fuel, and clean water, things that were now more valuable than gold. He asked the viewers if they wanted to buy a single bottle of water for $1 million. The chat was filled with a mix of curses, prayers, and desperate offers of everything they owned. He deleted the chat window, finding their sudden desperation boring and predictable. He remembered the time they had cheered when he was executed in the town square. Now, the roles were reversed, and he was the one looking down from his throne. The wind blades hit the main power grid, plunging the entire city into a terrifying darkness. Inside the bunker, the backup generators kicked in seamlessly, and the warm lights didn't even flicker. He stood up and walked to his bedroom, deciding that he had seen enough comedy for one night. He lay down on his silk sheets, the soft hum of the bunker's air filtration system lulling him to sleep. Tomorrow would bring the second phase of the apocalypse, but for Wong Wei, it was just another day of luxury. The world was ending, and for the first time in 2 lifetimes, he was truly happy.